We've got some fresh new young talent doing some things that I know you haven't heard before.
1, 2, 3, listen.
You got to have the why, and we know our why. So
you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Yep. Millions and millions of people have done this already. You can get help, you can get a roadmap, you can save a lot of time, money, and frustration. Welcome to the Value Add Podcast with K&K.
Hey everybody, Value Add with K&K. Crystal and Kenny here. Just want to say thank you so much for the support, for listening, the comments, everything. Keep it up. We'll keep going as long as we can.
And if you like what you're listening to, like what you're watching, tell your friends about it, leave us a review, maybe even give us 5 stars.
We love those.
That's how we can grow and continue to bring you guys value and spread the word.
Thanks, guys.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Value Add Podcast with K&K. Today we have Kevin Galligan, the owner of 3 franchises of RSVP Marketing, here with us today. Kevin, thanks for coming in.
I'm glad to be here.
We kind of know Kevin too.
He's just sort of my brother-in-law, but
yeah, He's married to my sister, Nicole. Simpson Galligan. She kept the Simpson.
It's a long last name.
That's a long story.
So RSVP, does that stand for something? Just I know that's a stupid question, but I don't know.
Well, originally it was, it still is. It's French, respondez, s'il vous plaît, or something along those lines. But RSVP is please respond, which is why you put it on an invitation. So hence the name of our company, RSVP, please respond to our advertisers.
That's
okay.
cheeky. I like that.
So Kevin, you guys have San Diego you've had for a long time.
27 years.
Whoa, which is crazy for any business to be.
Time.
And then you have Orange County and Riverside.
Right.
Okay, and those are newer.
Orange County existed for about the same 27 years, somewhere in there, but I took it over 5 years ago.
Okay, cool. And then Riverside?
A couple years ago.
Okay. Can you kind of just jump back in 1992 when Monty was born? Her mom was wiping her butt. Anyways, can you kind of tell us about basically how you got started and why you ended up buying a franchise or getting into marketing?
Well, I was just out of diapers when I started this. So,
you can tell.
Interestingly, in college, in the summertime, I started a power washing business, and I started looking for ways to advertise that. And I found this product that my mom received at her house called RSVP. It was a package of postcards. It looked really nice. It looked more upscale than some of the cooperative envelopes you get in your mailbox. And I just thought it looked interesting. I was doing some other advertising and some of the other direct mail pieces that go out to homeowners. And I thought, all right, let me try this thing that looks a little more upscale. And it worked great. A few friends wanted to move to California, and I thought, hey, that sounds good. I'll just advertise out there, do the same thing. And when I came out to do that, or when I flew out to find out about the mailing, the woman said, I'm getting ready to sell the business, et cetera. You should buy it. And I had no thought ever of getting into marketing or advertising. It wasn't my background, but it just happened, and I made an offer at the right time for the right price and got into it. I thought I'd just come out to California and do it for a couple years. 27 years later, I'm still here with the same business.
Wow.
That's grown.
And it all started with a power washing business.
It did. Basically. A very, part-time, summertime job deal. And in college, I was making and this goes back a long time ago, but I made about $15,000 in the summer in college.
That's pretty good.
With this power washing business.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Well, when you're getting out with your whatever engineering degree and you're making, $30,000 a year was a starting salary then, I thought, well, I can work 3 months for $15,000.
Yeah.
So I worked 3 months, and then I went out to Aspen and skied for the winter, and I came back and did that again. And anyway, that's kind of how it all started.
And then that stopped when RSVP happened, the skiing in Aspen.
Well, I came out to California and went, hey, this is, year-round San Diego versus 3 great months in Aspen. I'll take the San Diego year-round.
Kiteboarding came along?
First surfing, then kiteboarding, Yep.
Okay, cool.
Little golf in between.
Yep.
I think you get sucked into a lot of things here.
Yeah, it's easy to play any sport pretty much here.
So I guess before we kind of get into one of my next questions is I think we were talking about this before, is like I think when the economy collapsed and then I started hearing people spending on advertising stuff, everybody's like, direct mail's dead, it doesn't work. And I know you hear that all the time, and I hear this. What do you say to people when they say that? Obviously, this is what you do for a living. And
Well, I've heard this for a long time, and I really heard it when the internet came along.
Yeah.
Everybody said, oh, print, newspapers, everything's dead. The internet's everything. And I still remember, I wish I would have had the guy's name and what business he was in, but I think it was some type of contracting business. But I remember him telling me that he spent $4,500 on a website, and this was back in the very, very early stages where you're hard coding everything. And he thought he was convinced you just put this up here and the world starts calling you.
yeah,
And it didn't happen. And then I learned that, geez, that was a lot of money to spend on a website. Anyway, as it went along after 10 years, I'm looking for other things to do. We were like every single other advertising company out there that was fairly large. The minute the Groupon model came along, everybody thought, oh, let's just jump on that. So I thought we did, and did pretty well the first year, but we just didn't like the model that much. But we were always kind of looking, hey, let's get into, we know this is going to the internet. So I kind of believe that direct mail would be dead at some point. And what I've learned, and a lot of other people learned, is it just didn't die. And I think actually in the last couple of years, it's gotten better.
that's what I hear from some people too, especially like real estate agents say like they're crushing it with direct mail.
I think that if you watch this or pay attention to any of the stats or studies, legitimate studies that have gone on out there, millennials, which everybody thought, well, the direct mail still works to older people, but millennials will never look at direct mail. But at least in my business, where we're targeting more upscale, affluent homeowners, and the millennials that are just starting that home ownership, they're getting things in the mail. And you know what? It's kind of cool to actually touch something. Just like it's cool to every once in a while start looking through a magazine, which a lot of us don't do anymore. Yeah. It's kind of nice, and it's different, and it's way different than all the stuff you're scrolling through all day long.
Well, there's a lot of noise online is the hard part, because you're getting so much junk mail in your inbox and so many banner ads on these websites that whatever websites you're going to, and you're looking on social media and you're getting hit in the face with ads now too. And I think it's actually getting to the point with advertising that you can't really even trust the online advertising. So there is a trust factor there. I think that we're all learning, because I think all of us have probably, or at least me, girls, we go online, these shopping things on Instagram, and then you find out it's like some weird company from, China or wherever, and you never get what you paid for. And then it's like this whole nightmare mess. And they actually sold a lot, but it's not a reliable company. And so you have that happen to you a couple times. And I think you realize that you're better off going with the more local advertising that you can rely on and trust.
Right.
Depending on your business too, but yeah, I agree. What exactly do you guys do?
So we truly are, although we've done a lot of different things, and I've done a lot of different businesses along the way and different investments, but my core business that happens every day, every year, every quarter, every month is we mail either postcards, specific postcard campaigns for customers, but we also have a cooperative direct mail piece, which is a package of 4x6 postcards that gets mailed specifically to upscale homeowners in Southern California. So I mail in San Diego, for example, 200,000 single-family owner-occupied homes, a few condos here and there, but primarily 90-something% single-family owner-occupied homes. If you've owned that home for 30 years, 27 years, they know who we are. There's not anyone that I meet, and once I realize they've been in their home that long, and I know they've been getting our package, if I start to describe it, oh yeah, and then they can name off all the contractors or things they did over the years out of that.
It is
package.
unique, right? Like, does any other company?
I tell people, and I truly believe this, it is still 27 years later, and I just had this conversation yesterday. It's still the most unique piece of mail you get in your mailbox. I mean, every once in a while you get something that's cool.
So describing it for people that are like, you don't have one here, but basically what it is, it's 4x6 cards. How many are in there about?
There's about 40 postcards.
So 40 postcards, and on those postcards, it could be offerings, discounts to food, could be contractors, realtors, carpet, home improvements. Just list goes on and on and on. And then basically it comes in a clear package.
It's pretty unique. It is a clear cellophane kind of wrap that's unique. There's not much like it out there.
Yeah. So if you get it, you know exactly what you're talking about. So you would just rip it open, and sometimes 1 out of the 40 might work for you and your family or something else. So, so you mentioned you guys do postcards, the bigger postcards, and then like what, 4x8?
4x6.
4x6. 6x9 is probably the most typical, but 6x11 is pretty standard too. But every once in a while, you get people who want to do a small postcard, 4x6. But if you're doing your own postcard, that costs different. Postage is the biggest cost. So for a couple more inches of paper, it's to get it to stand out a little more. It's literally a penny and a half to get 80% or 50% more real estate. It's worth it. And is there like a certain sort of business that you would recommend to go in the deck versus getting like their own individual card that's sent out? Sure. There are. So our product is very well branded. That's a great question. It's really branded to homeowners, and it's branded to, we do a lot of home improvement, some restaurant and some different theater groups and things like that. But so if someone, and really the geographic range that we mail that package to, it's pretty good size. It's a dozen zip codes versus 1 or 2. So for businesses that are really one zip code or neighborhood oriented, our packages, and they're not going to draw from outside their zip code, the package really isn't what we would advise them to do. And we may insist they don't do it if it's really niched down like that. Mm-hmm. Then they really want to focus on something that can saturate just in their zip code. Like a local home improvement person who wants to stay really close and capture most of a neighborhood or two. Right. Yeah. So if somebody says, hey, I just want to be in these 1 or 2 zip codes, then the package really isn't the program for them. Or even maybe a dentist that just says, people just aren't going to travel more than a zip code or 2 for a dentist. Yeah, that makes sense. How are you able to track this stuff? Like basically if somebody comes to you and they're like, whether it's a big postcard or in the package, how do you guys track that? It's hard to track. We have lots of ways to track it, but the internet has really made a lot of things very difficult to track. It's made print very difficult to track. We've used call source numbers for years, which means that each advertiser would have a unique phone number they use that records that conversation when someone calls that specific number. So they'll get a complete report of not only everyone that dialed and the phone number that dialed that number off their ad, it'll record the conversation and send you that WAV file. So you really can track everyone that called it, but things have really changed. And I'll use home improvement as an example because it's a good example to give you this idea. 20 years ago, homeowners would, when you want to get your house painted, you would go to the Yellow Pages, you'd look under painter, you'd start calling until you had 3 of them to come out and give you an estimate, 3 come out and give you an estimate, and then you would look at their references, you might call some of their references, and then you make your decision. Well, homeowners are very savvy, and it doesn't even matter whether it's someone in their 40s or someone in their 80s, they don't want to waste their time. They're going to get your ad and they're going to go on the internet and do their research first. Mm-hmm. And that's where it's a little bit difficult for us because at that point they may not use, if they end up on your website, they may not use that phone number on the ad. They can email you or something, right? They can email you. Or just call you direct. Their phone, they just push whatever number can get them a direct dial. It's still okay because we're still able to track some of those and we have a good ratio of if I can track 30 calls off my ad for this contracting business, I know that there's another 30 leads or calls they got from other sources. So we have a pretty good idea on the ratios, but it makes it a little more difficult to track. Yeah, I would imagine. But how does somebody, you have clients that have been with you for what? A long time. It is, it's kind of corny, but I'm honored that these guys have been with us this long. I have companies, and sometimes I have to look back and really look at the big picture. And I go, wow, I have a single company that's given me over $1 million over 27 years to market their business, and they didn't give it to me because they had lots of money and didn't care where they spent it.
It was working.
Yeah, it made them, 10, 20, 30 times that. I've got some really long-term customers. I've got from little guys that they work out of their house, they subcontract everything, and they kind of work out of their truck essentially, and they're almost a one-man show, although they look like a big company. I have guys like that, and I have guys that run big, $40 million contracting businesses here in San Diego.
Wow. And then, I know Crystal asked, is there somebody that's in the deck that's probably that does just your deck? It just does really well. Like a contractor, this is it just always does well because people, like you said, they've seen your cards come to their house 10 years. And when it's time to paint the house, build the fence, redo the kitchen, they're like, these guys got to have a reputable company in here. I don't know if that mindset's there, but what do you think does really, really well in these decks?
I think, we have a little bit of an advantage of our product is so well branded with those homeowners. And it's funny because I'll meet someone that's never seen our product and they just thought, they're nobody. I've never seen that before. But if you get this at your home, you know what it is. You may have used one or two before. You're used to the caliber of businesses that are in there. So even a new guy that's never mailed with us before, people just have the thought that you've been mailing in there for a long time and you're reputable because all the other guys in there are
There's
reputable.
a familiarity already.
So you'll get response right out of the gate. But to answer the question that you really started with is, if you've got the companies that do really, really, really well are the ones that are well branded already.
Okay.
And they're already a household name in San Diego, which I think is really hard to do, but we do have several of them that are that well branded that we really get some effect off of that, and we get to reap some of that success that may not just be from us. They're just so well branded. People say, "Oh, I've been meaning to call these guys," and they don't check anything. They just know and they just call. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not every person that's advertising is offering a discount or something. Could simply just say, if you need this, I'm here, right? I mean, they're just letting you know they're there in the deck, or
we do have people that don't have any discount at all. I always kind of recommend it, though. I think we do live in somewhat of a discount world. And a lot of times it may not be a discount on all their services. It may be just
give them an offer. Give them a
discount on or what the upfront price is. Now a big thing in HVAC is that there's a $79 tune-up or $89 tune-up to come out and do this 14-point tune-up. I guess you could call it offer. I guess you could call it a discount, but it really is
a
just
call to action or something.
Their value proposition or whatever, and it works.
So you guys get a lot of. I think for the postcard thing, if people don't use you or they're not doing anything, it's probably like, okay, you guys do the postcards. I got referred to you, or my friend was using you, having success. I'm sure you're getting business from referrals from other people or just calling or whatever. And you guys probably, whether it's Nicole or Sharon or Tim, they probably know so many business owners now. Somebody might have been calling on them for years, just like when people want to sell their house or whatever. All of a sudden they're like, "Hey, Kevin, I'm ready to move forward." What's the steps like with you guys? If they don't know anything, never done marketing, are you guys kind of like hold their hand, or they need how much involvement is required, and what's the process to kind of get it going with you guys?
It's probably the best if they just say, you guys just come up with a concept for us and go from there. And because what we do is we take our years of knowledge, but we also look across the country. We have some sources on getting campaigns that are already working for that industry. So that really helps. Sometimes if someone comes in with all their ideas of what they want to do, it's kind of hard to move them from that and say, just let us do our job. It's just much easier. Let us start with something and then go from there. We'll ask questions, obviously. Questions are key in terms of, it seems obvious, but people don't necessarily think this way in terms of, you have to really ask a lot of questions to get kind of those perfect answers that you need to use. But what are people buying? What are they buying now? Sometimes people say, I want to sell this, but that's not what people are buying now.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, that's great. You want to sell this because you're not selling it. But
I see. Okay.
Do you really want to spend money on the thing that's not
Let's
selling?
market what they want to buy and then get them in and try to hook them over here. Okay.
Right. It's like the I can't think of a great example for some reason, but it's like the swimming pool company that says, hey, people may not be, we don't want to sell remodeling of the pools. We just want to sell them a brand new swimming pool. But if you have as part of your ad, hey, we remodel pools, there's a lot of people that, hey, that's what I want. I don't want a brand new pool. I want it remodeled. Yeah. The truth is, if the pool's really old, you pretty much need a brand new, they're going to tear the whole thing apart anyway.
Yeah, it has a leak or something. Yeah.
So what are people, and it really just focus on what do people want? What are they, what will get that relationship going or the call made? Hey, I want you to come out and look at our pool and tell us what you think.
And it's like an opportunity really to get in front of a client too. Like if you sell your most desired product, then at least if you want to sell them something else, at least you get the opportunity, you get the at bat to sell to them.
And then the worst is somebody who calls and says, and this happens all the time, and that's when we go, oh geez, they say, hey, we want to start marketing now. This is our slowest season. We want to send out a bunch of direct mail. And you just think, okay, well, there's ways to work on that, but you don't want to fight a losing battle either.
Right.
You almost want to be like, let's do it during your busiest season and keep it going through.
Right.
Yeah.
Or at least start it, get it started when people are thinking about it. Another example is the swimming pool business. People are thinking about it in the summer. Well, I don't need people in the summer. But yeah, that's when people are thinking about it and want it. So
or holding your card to go.
Go out and meet them, get the process going, and then tell them it's going to take a year before the pool.
Because they might not even want to redo it and say, hey, I want to do it in the wintertime because my kids aren't going to be using it, right? But I want to talk to you in the summertime because it's on their mind.
Right.
The question I was going to ask is, so I know we were talking about this before. I think with a lot of people, just with sales and businesses, whatever the product is, especially for you guys, is, we just started doing marketing in our business probably, full time or actively really done it. And I think the first thing is okay, what are we going to do? And then how much money is it going to cost? And what's the process? And is this really going to work? And then I think once you start understanding marketing isn't just about like, hey, let's just throw some shit against the wall, see if it works. It's actually, you got to test it. You got to spend money. And then you're really looking for something that's going to work. But you might get lucky out of the front gate. Like some guy gets a card and it just hits and you're like, you're lucky. Some guys have sent cards. It takes a couple of years and they get the right card and it's like, boom, it pays back. What would you say? I mean, there's people that might be listening to this that want to do cards or marketing in general, just wherever they go. What's like when somebody comes in and is like, hey, no, Kevin, we're not going to do it. And they all of a sudden they call you and they've tried it and it works. Like, what is a typical time they should be testing? And that's why you recommended you guys do the card because you're looking around of competition, what's working. It's just like if we're going to do a Facebook ad, like Gary Vee always says is, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just go look at your competitors, look what they're doing, and kind of come up with that concept if it's working and steal it. Not necessarily you're stealing it, but he says steal it, but you emulate that. What is the time frame somebody should really? I'm going to do a card with you, Kevin. How long should they really be looking at?
That's good, a great question because you really need to start looking at it before you really need it. Nothing's worse than someone calls us up and says, I need something right now. We did get lucky at the beginning of the year where somebody called up and said, hey, my whatever $8,000 a month Google AdWords account spend is just stopped working, period. I need some direct mail. We just so happened to have a way to help him immediately. He just got lucky with his timing. And we hit a home run for him out of the gate, which made it even better.
Woo! Yeah.
So
awesome.
But it's like everything. You really need to. I always say, I like what you say about the competitor because you should always be collecting what your competitors are doing and keeping an idea of what they're doing. And your business, and you look at some of their ideas, and you kind of what you like about what they're doing is probably a good place to start. So you kind of see what they do, what they don't do. If an ad pops out to you, that's probably going to pop out to some other people.
Save it. Yeah, so you can bring it to you. So the test period is if somebody's doing postcards, I mean, people you've had people that come to you have had success and that have been like, might have taken a while to finally commit. Do you have some good stories or somebody you've been calling and they're like, no, it's not for me. And all of a sudden they're like, okay, we're going to give it a shot. And it's really had success.
That's pretty much every one of our clients. Okay. We don't just call somebody, they go, oh, yeah, let me buy some postcards today and start mailing with you and spend thousands of dollars. So we pretty much have to, it's a long process. And fortunately, we've been doing this so long that really everybody does know what we do. But it still takes time. Every once in a while, you'll catch somebody that's just, they're making a marketing decision now. They've decided, I'm going to stop doing this, and I want to do something else. And now we're catching people who say, hey, I want to do postcard, or I want to do direct mail. We did stop doing direct mail years ago, but I'm hearing good things, or one of their vendors or some other association they're with is saying, hey, a lot of our guys are doing this and it's working, or they're calling saying specifically, I want to do some direct mail. That helps speed up the timeline. But it's like everything. If you're jumping in super fast, it's better if you have a shorter time frame. I can get something out in 5 days for someone. If it's a business we've worked with before or an industry that we're really knowledgeable about, I can have something hit the street in 5 days. Now, that is ultra fast. I like it better if somebody's giving me a 30-day window at least.
Yeah.
That would be ideal. It's a little different if I'm coaching you how to do it yourself versus I'm going to do it for you. If you're doing it yourself, you almost need more time than that to get educated a little bit.
So you guys have somebody that designs the postcards for the client.
We do,
though, right?
Yes.
And so that's an interactive process where it's like you guys maybe come up with a few designs and then send them back to the business owner to review and see if they want to make any revisions or corrections or changes.
Typically, we have a kind of a concept of what they want to do, and once you identify what the offer the ad is and what you're featuring and what pictures or concept you might want to use, then it's pretty easy to get an ad together.
Okay.
Pictures still really sell. It lets
they
people
do,
know
huh?
what you do. They really do.
The testimonials on cards sell, or?
I think they can help, but it's almost a little too early in the process.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Too early.
So
in the
that
ad.
picture of that beautiful pool or the food for the restaurant or whatever it may be, you know.
If you have a testimonial style ad, I think it works. But if your ad really isn't a testimonial style ad and you're just throwing that testimonial in as a headline, I don't know. Sometimes it's just too early in the buying process that people have.
So let's get into some detailed questions. So when do you send out your postcards? Let's talk about the I know you guys do it because we're always like we're in mailing or we're in what do you call it? We're in
the deadline.
Deadline. Is it 4 times a year?
We're 5 times a year.
So when do you mail out?
We start mailing mid-February and then mail every 2 months. So we just finished up in mid-October. And we kind of take the winter off. And that's really because for our businesses and primarily for Southern California, because we're really, at least for our contracting clients, it's a year-round business versus my buddies that have businesses in Minnesota and Chicago.
It snows, it's over.
Yeah, I mean, their cycle's a lot different in direct mail and for their clients.
So your last mailing of the year just happened, or
just happened in October.
So you're going to have another mailing. That's the longest stretch you go.
That'll be the longest stretch. And the beauty of direct mail and our product is the shelf life is so strong that we can go every couple months, and that is plenty.
Because people are holding on to the cards.
Yeah.
Putting
they
them
might
on.
not need it now.
They're hold on,
Right.
and then they call you later. That does happen a lot. I mean,
the record in Southern California is 16 years. 16 years, a homeowner held on to, these companies that do retractable awnings.
Yeah.
Held on to that card and called on it. This was a couple years ago. Our customer called us and said, I have something pretty amazing to share with you. And
Wow.
he sends, and I didn't believe it. I said, nah, I don't buy
He
that.
sent the
That's
card. You
funny.
had the card.
He sent the card, and
You must want to like put that on a wall.
yeah,
Like,
I couldn't believe it. But the guy said, and this is homeowners, a lot of homeowners have home improvement files or their idea file, and they just drop stuff in there.
It says something about the business that they were still open and around and had the
Yep.
same number and
the
everything.
same number
Yeah.
worked. Yeah,
That's
it
true.
does.
That's a good point
It
too.
does.
Yeah. Okay, so that's when you email. What is the best time? I know you get this too. It's like, hey, Kevin, I got a business. What's the best time to drop the postcard?
That's a great question. Everybody asks it, and I usually say it's always a great time because customers have. Or the consumers have buying cycles, and everybody's buying cycle is a little bit different. Some people have just naturally long buying cycles. They do a lot of research. They think about it for years. And some people are just, once they make up their mind, I'm getting this, I'm buying this, I'm going to start the research, I'm going to get it done. And everybody's different. And some people, you may land in someone's mailbox that already started the getting estimate process for their home improvement project. And you're coming in at the perfect time, or you may come in right when they kind of don't know. They saw their neighbor had something done. I think we should do that. Then you get a card in the mail, and so they may have a much longer buying process. But direct mail, it out of everything out there, shelf life wise, it's you just can't beat it. Couple years, couple months, it really does have a long shelf life.
What should so now we're talking about the cards because you guys have been doing this a long time. I know a lot of people, I feel like they have these like, oh, I want to do this. It's like it's more about them than about like when we went to see Billie Jean, he said people want to make ads, but it sounds like the ad's more for you than the customer.
Right.
And so we said, fine, then let's do an ad right now on the podcast. And he's like, no, I'm a 5-year-old. I'm a 5-year-old. I'm not, Crystal, you're talking to me like you. And we broke it down. And I'm sure that's the same thing with you is when people come to you, they're like, oh, I got this great idea. You're like, yeah. So what should be when people are doing, if they're going to do something with you on their own, what are some some specifics you can give on what to put on a card, what works, what's probably do not do this, it doesn't work from your 27 years of doing this?
I like the idea of breaking for instance, a postcard, but really breaking it down, and you have a picture and you're going to have some sort of headline, and I like to keep those somewhat separate. In other words, create a strong enough headline, and sometimes it's not strong, it's just specific. Let people know what you do that can stand by itself. So if you just had that headline, do they know what you do and know what you're about to read more, to look further? And then same with the picture, that can they figure out from the picture what you do? And sometimes if you show this beautiful backyard and that has beautiful patio furniture and a beautiful pool and beautiful landscaping, but you sell patio furniture.
It's like, what do you do?
They might think you do pool or landscape.
Yeah, it's okay. You got to do something else in there. Your headline really better scream patio furniture, or your logo better scream patio, so it can help them really dial into what they're looking at. So I think
you recommend one picture, not multiple?
It really just depends. Sometimes the pictures, we get a client that doesn't have great pictures. Sometimes you can get away with showing multiple pictures and make them a little smaller, and they don't stand out as much. And sometimes it tells a better story. I really just look at it. I want to see their website, what they do on their website, what kind of pictures they have. And we use a lot of stock photography as well. And we'll send a photographer out to get pictures if we have to. The picture's important. If lousy pictures don't sell very well.
Is that the most important thing on a postcard, is a picture?
I would say it's one of the key components. I think it's picture, headline, offer. And that's key. But backing up for direct mail, 60% of the success of direct mail is your list. It's not, that's really the key. So that's another good thing I didn't even think of. So with the list, that's something that you guys already have or have access to or whatever. So you already have that homeowner list that's like dialed,
And it's like you said, they've been buttered up, if that's what we're gonna say, of knowing who you are. Some people, if they're in the house for 27 years, they know who you guys are. So
our standard mailing that we do, every 2 months, we've had that list, for years, and we know those homes, and we're updating it. It changes constantly, but it's an easy list to go after with all the different things we do to tweak it. So if somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, I want a different list or target a new list," there's some work that goes into that. There's a lot of different ways to get a list, and a lot of different list brokers, and a lot of people out there on the internet. You go buy a list, and they're just not selling you the best that's available, and it's really important.
So 60%. So when the front or the back of a card, are you putting like headline, offer, and picture on the front, or what's...
So when it comes to postcards, I like the concept of, show what you do and what's in it for them on the front, and then on the back you give the details of a little bit more of why or you give information to help their buying process.
Like more specifics on the product or the service.
Right, or some of those key things that they may be interested in, or if you're showing a kitchen, you may talk about all the different features that you have on the back, because we want to make sure, they want to see that you don't just do one type of kitchen that you showed in on the front. They want to know, hey, they do everything, and they will do a partial remodel versus a whole full kitchen. Maybe we just do countertops as well. So give all those extra details on the back.
Do you think, I know you mentioned this before, and it's something that I think a lot of people, even with us, is like if somebody calls us and gets referred to us, they can talk to us, but they might hang up and go, yeah, am I going to use Kenny? And they're going to look me up online, and they're going to see, do I have a website? Maybe I have a YouTube channel and all this stuff. So do you feel that over the last 27 years, some of your businesses, when they're sending out the card, they're getting people to maybe go on, even though they call them, they're still going to look them up? Are you encouraging, or do you see businesses stepping it up with more of an online presence to grab attention to that way if the customer does go online and look them up?
Absolutely. We check when someone calls us and wants to advertise. First thing we do is check online, make sure we're dealing with a company that has a good online reputation. If they don't, it's a big battle for us.
Interesting.
I've had sales reps call me and say, "Hey, this company wants to do this sort of plan, program, whatever." And I just sit there and pull it up online when I'm talking to my rep, and I just look at their reputation and go, "Oh, I just honestly tell my rep, be polite, but I really don't want to do business with that guy. It's an uphill battle."
Because if you send out the card and somebody looks up a review,
if they have horrible reviews online, they're going to say I didn't work. And frankly, I just don't want to promote a business that isn't on the ball. We've done well with those businesses. They like doing business with us. They do really well with us. Now we've had some businesses that they struggled with their reputation. They're still a good business. They just didn't put any effort in it, and they just allowed negative reviews to go online and didn't, help get any positive reviews on there. Maybe they have 2 Yelp reviews and they're both negative. That doesn't mean that the business is horrible. Now, if they have 1,000 reviews and half of them are negative, then that's probably a pretty good indication.
2.5-star rating or something. Right. You're like, yeah.
But I think you have to really cover all your bases online and make sure everything's connected. You've got your from a Yelp page, Facebook page, your Google My Business page is up to date and clean and all works together. And your website, I don't think you need anything fancy. You just need something that is
a presence.
It's there. It's easy for people to get to what they want to see. Not what you want to show them, what they want to see.
Exactly.
Can they easily get, if you have 5 different customers, what do they all want to see? If they all want to see one thing, that's what you want to show them on the first page. If they all want to see something different, how do they find all that stuff very, very quickly?
Yeah, because your postcard is just, you can only put so much on there and so much information. So if they want to dive deeper, they've got to go to a website or call you or whatever.
And nowadays, people are pretty savvy, like looking up online and reviews and stuff. I mean, it's the first place I go when I'm looking to work with somebody, especially if you don't know them and they weren't referred to you or anything like that. It's like you want to look online and see what other people's experience has been.
Absolutely.
Do you have any examples if somebody's like listening and they're, like interested in doing a postcard, maybe they're a contractor, typically, if, maybe a contract, I don't know how much it costs or how much you're spending, but if a contractor were to spend, that you have that's been with you, maybe spending $10,000, $20,000 a year, maybe more. Do you have any examples, not to mention names or anything, of kind of return on investment or what they're kind of getting back? And obviously, if they're still mailing with you, it's working.
Right. I think probably the best, what someone should look for return on investment is, one, know what your customer's worth to you. So if you're a painting contractor, what is that customer worth to you over the life of that customer? And so you're really dialing in on what's my profit margin per job, and then what's it worth, what's a new customer worth to me? How many referrals do I get from those customers? So you really know when you find an advertising source and you bring in a new customer, you're not just valuing it off the one, I just got this new customer, my profit on the job was this, my ad cost me that. So you really want to know what's the value of that customer and their referrals over a reasonable amount of time, not 100 years. But
what's reasonable for you?
I think in the home improvement business, if you've been in business a long time, you're going to find that, there's a lot of these older contractors that have been in business a long time with us. They have customers they've had for 20, 30, 40 years. And a lot of them have generations of customers. So the grandparents have used them to remodel the house. The parents used them, and now the kids use them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I see that. It really does happen, and I hear it from our customers. But I think from a return on investment, I think in general, I always look at, if I'm out there trying to market a new business, most businesses can afford to spend 10 to 15% of that new sale on marketing.
Okay.
So if I'm selling a $10,000 job or widget or whatever, I can afford to spend $1,000 to $1,500 to get that job.
Okay.
Now, if I have to spend that every time to get every single job, it probably doesn't work. But if I'm paying attention to my marketing and I'm a really high quality business, that one job is going to lead to referrals and repeat business, et cetera.
It lead to $50,000. Yeah.
Right. That might turn into $50,000.
Which over time.
Right.
Yeah, it's funny because we're talking about that with Bill, just like over, it's over time. I think
it's
even
over time,
you can't just he was talking about new brokers coming to the business. It's like, hey, you're going to call, you might not get the checks, but you might make relationships now that are going to pay off later to sell their buildings. And it's just like these people too, you do the job, but then when their friend comes over a year later and goes, wow, who did your pool? Give me the number, or something like that.
I would imagine it's also different depending on the business, because even for us with online ads, I've seen is service-based businesses like the computer repair guy or the auto repair guy or the dentist or the chiropractor. They do online marketing and they get high volume of calls. And then if you have somebody who's more expensive, like a more expensive service, even for us, when we advertise for financing or whatever, these are bigger ticket items. You could pay $10,000 or $20,000 for that. So you don't get as many calls per se. And people aren't necessarily ready to move forward right away with these things. These are things that they have to think about and research longer, and so they take more time to move forward. So like you said, it's not like you're going to send out the card and then go, oh, last month we didn't get one call, or maybe we only got 2 calls. It's like, okay, 6 months from now you might get a call from that same card that went out that one time. So it's hard to really gauge.
It is hard. You want to definitely have your tracking as tight as you possibly can. And never take anything for granted. You just can't assume that the person who answers the phone in your business just simply asks, hey, how'd you hear about us? Yeah. Because I listen to the recordings. I know that where that call came from. It didn't come from anywhere else but our card, yet the person will say something different.
Yeah. Found you online, or
lots of theories of why they don't tell you that right up front. And some of it is, I think sometimes, isn't it a little irritating when you call business and, hey, I'm calling. This call's about me, and they want to quickly find out why you call it, how you came about their business. What made you call us today?
Yeah.
What did you use to call us? And I think, can you get my name? Can you ask me a few more questions about,
Right. That shouldn't be
interacting
the
with
first
your
question.
business? Right. And so, the old, how I heard about it. How'd you hear about us? I think save that for a little bit later when I'm a little more engaged. So maybe that's why people don't tell you right out of the gate the truth, but we see it all the time. So you want to have your call tracking and you want to ask. And then when your sales rep goes out there to give an estimate, you want to ask again. And when you're finished with the job, you want to ask again, hey, how'd you hear about us? And then did you ever Google us, or what review sites? You really want to find out how your customers, their buying process work. It's going to be different, but you'll learn a lot.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like, too, sometimes people just don't really remember. That might happen, too, just depending on when in the process you ask them. Because we've seen that, too, even, with different things, is like they say they found us one way, but then they really found you another way.
Right.
So, and then I've even had the clients that are or people who are just constantly calling for information but never moving forward, and our marketing guy will call and say, hey, can you just tell them to use your direct line from now on, because it's skewing our numbers, Yep. So
that's
it's definitely a science.
No, that's funny. So Kevin, what would you recommend if somebody is and one of the things you brought up was the list, if they're going to go start mailing postcards and they're, whether they're here or some other state or whatever, and they're going to find a company, because one of the big things you said is the list.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And if they're going to go to this online company, they can send out the postcards and they have the list and everything. What would you recommend? I mean, people can look up, reviews and stuff on this company. What should people be looking for, asking, and what should the kind of expectations from a potential person going to do the postcards, not the business, but from my side going in, what should I be looking for? Red flags? Or
I think it really depends upon what the objective or who the customer is for that business. So if you're a pizza place and you know that I'm just going to mail in my local area, you can actually do the every door direct mail campaign through the post office, and you're really not buying the list. You're just buying every single mail address around your business. That's a great way to do it. If you're a little more technical, say I'm trying to reach doctors in the state of California, that's when I don't know that you even want to go to an online business. You really need to look for somebody in the direct mail business that has been in the business a long time,
and they know how to get the list.
Yeah, I think you're going to waste a lot of time thinking you can save a few bucks doing it yourself, and you're going to end up frustrating yourself, and you're not going to save much, and you may have a failing campaign that failed because you want to save a few bucks, and you could have had a successful campaign that was profitable. I think that it just depends. It's not something, I just need to hear the situation for the customer, and then I can say, hey, you can do it yourself, and here's what I do. And I do it all the time. I say, go to this website, print your own postcard, and go straight through the post office. You can go to YouTube and find out how to do it. It's not hard. If they think just get your high school kid to do it. They'll figure it out in a few minutes. And it's pretty cheap, and it's actually a good product. But that's if you're saturating.
That's a do-it-yourself, right there.
Yeah.
That's the tip.
Do it yourself.
Basically, find online. So what you're saying is, if you're a pizza shop in North Park here, and you're
a hair salon, it could be a high-end hair salon.
And you want to just basically
local,
just pound whatever.
If you're a hair salon in La Jolla, and so everybody around you is affluent in that zip code, there's 20,000 condos, apartments, and homes in the La Jolla zip code. You could print your own postcard online, go to the post office, set up for every door direct mail, and walk in with your stack of postcards, and it just gets delivered, and it's huge value. And it takes work. Or you can call me and we'll do it all for you.
Stuff on there? They'll do it all.
Well, that program you don't have to put any stamps or anything on there. And then the other thing, you were asking a question, and I had the thought is the number one list out there, because people ask where do I get a list? How do I get it? I'll tell you the number one place to get your list is in your own office on your own computer. Your customer list is the number one list that every business should start with, especially today with the internet and everybody doing so much digital advertising and thinking that's all you need to do. Your own customer list is huge. If you're not mailing that every twice a year at least is what I'd recommend.
Yeah, you were telling me this. You're like, why aren't you and Crystal just mailing? And it's like, we were kind of like, it's not going to hurt. Like, we get one deal out of it. You're like, and you probably will. It's just because some people, it's funny, they'll come in here and be like, you guys think we should refire buildings? I got these postcards in the mail. I'm like, it's funny. They bring the damn postcard. I'm like, it works because some people still like it. It's like, no, I think you're right.
The beauty of what I like about direct mail to your customers, and at least twice a year, is done correctly, it follows your customer. So if somebody moves, you'll find that out.
Yeah.
And everybody thinks like, well, in a few years when I do direct mail, I can just go, they can just clean the list for me and find that out. Well, you really can't. If your customer moved 18 months ago, there are ways to find them, but it's harder.
Right.
And after 4 years, it's pretty much impossible. If they move,
because they're going to get the mail forward.
So there's the National Change of Address Registry that will run up against a list before we mail it. So if somebody comes to me with their customer list, first thing I say is, how old is it? Have you ever cleaned it? Have you ever run it against NCOA? And if it's no, it's like, oh, the problem is you don't know what's good and bad. So it's the best list to mail. And I always have people say, well, I'll use the swimming pool guy as an example. Well, my customer list, why do I want to keep mailing them? I mean, I just built them a $150,000 swimming pool, and I set them up with a cleaning service. They don't need me anymore. Why do I want to keep mailing them? I'll mail them in 10 years but people move in Southern California, within San Diego. The average person, I think it's every 7 years.
Or you're top of mind,
But the other number one reason everybody forgets is you're top of mind for referrals.
Yes, exactly.
So to mail that postcard every 6 months, hey, we just did a new pool here, or you just bought a beautiful pool. You look, you're not going to mind looking at another beautiful pool.
What do you think people should be mailing though? Like if we have like take ours, she's commercial, we're in finance, right? And we just want to ping the client to say, hey, how's it going?
So if you have no idea of what to do, because you think, I can't think of anything, I would come up with a unique reason to do it. Let's say you're Irish and you just want to say, Galligan, I happen to be a little Irish somewhere in there. Let's say I can't think of any good reason to mail anybody anything. I might just mail Happy St. Patrick's Day every year consistently. That may be one of my mailings. And hey, if you're looking to refinance your home,
and they know you're going to get it, they get
used to it. It tells a little something about you, a little bit of a story, and it wishes them Happy St. Patrick's Day. And it's easy to do. So you're going to take your customer list, and you just know you're going to do that every year at that time.
Well, we did a holiday card for the first time after having a baby. And we got so many clients that were like, oh my gosh, it's so great to see you. Like, how are you? People we hadn't talked to in a long time, too. I just kind of sent it out to everybody, and there was a lot of positive feedback, and we did get back in touch with a handful of people out of doing that.
And you did deals. I mean, it resulted in deals.
Revealing things about your personal life is just
even better,
showing some honesty, and you're real, and they're learning something. That people want to do business with people they know and are friends with and feel like they're part of the family. If you said something, hey, we just sent something out, we just had a baby, well, they're part of your family.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you this question. So you guys have a list of active clients or non-active clients. I mean, I know you guys have a really good list of all the businesses in San Diego. You're hitting your active clients and your non-active. I'm assuming you're mailing all the time.
Right. We go through periods.
But you're still mailing.
We're just like the mechanic that has the worst performing car. It's always breaking down. So we go through periods. We're in the direct mail business, but we go through these periods where, geez, we haven't sent anything to anybody for 6 months. This is crazy, because we just get busy with other things that we're doing and handling the business we have.
But you can get it out like that because the list is clean, because you have it down.
We can.
Yeah.
Yep. So, we know it. I have somebody assembling mail right now that'll get delivered to the post office to businesses and prospects here. And I think we're just doing San Diego tomorrow.
That's no, I think it's funny, right, Monty? Like you don't think about it, but it's like
It's just staying in front of people again. Like if you're hitting them online, like if you're sending an email or a newsletter or whatever, and then you've got ads that are going out, following them around, and then you're hitting them with direct mail, you're just top of mind all the time.
It is, and you're getting them. You get that. You're on the phone, your email and stuff.
Yeah.
There's so much noise. And we used to think there's all this noise in our mailbox and lots of junk mail.
Not so much anymore.
The truth is, it's a few pieces a day. And
It's not that much anymore,
Yeah.
I feel like. I mean, you get like the grocery ads and the discount stuff, which I always automatically throw away.
Right.
And then you really don't get too many like postcards, business cards. Like we really don't get that much anymore. And I think it's because, maybe less people are doing it. But I feel like it has slowed down a little bit, which is a good opportunity for people who want to.
It's one of the key reasons why
Yeah.
it has a big resurgence. Is
Yeah.
that
I think in the recession, people were nowhere doing, and people that were starting to do it in the beginning were having like crushing. I heard like because there's no competition.
Right.
They're all like, "Oh, we have no money," and guys.
Well,
that
they
started
cut the
to-
marketing budget first, and
Right.
then
No, but then
Yeah.
right in the beginning when people started coming out, Kevin probably mailing, they're probably doing wonderful because there's like, oh my gosh, there's no other cards in the mail.
Right.
Do you do a 6x9? Do you prefer glossy? Is there a reason why you do 6x9, or is there a philosophy behind that?
I think that 6x9, you can do 6x9, 6x11 are really very common.
Oh, 6x11, that's
6x11, you
big.
don't pay that much more for it.
Okay.
That's like
the
big,
the
though.
postage is exactly the same. So whether you mail a 4 1/4 by 6 postcard or a 6x11 postcard, the postage is exactly the same.
Okay.
The cost is more for the card.
The card's more,
A little bit.
and a little bit, but it's not much. So
A
unless you have
6x11 stands out
pretty good,
for sure.
Yeah, it does.
That's pretty freaking.
And I
like,
think it's a penny and a half more. So if you're spending 40 cents to mail out a postcard, would you spend a 6x9? Would you spend 41.5 cents to mail 6x11?
I kinda
Sometimes
like that. It's
it
kinda cool.
stands
Good
out.
idea.
And that somebody comes in and says, "I just want to mail that small 4 1/4 by 6." That's great, but I like it. I like it for restaurants because it's easy to kind of take with you.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to walk in with a big 6x11 postcard.
Yeah.
But that 6x11 could be if you wanted to be really informative on there or something.
Right. So for your business, I would say that'd be great to do.
I was thinking like you could do I'm just thinking like, no, example is there's rent control.
Yeah.
And you could put the common questions and answers on a 6x11 and send it out to people and be like, hey, happy holidays. Here's a little something about rent control. Seriously, it's like you could fit enough questions on there.
Yeah.
Like that paper. And it's like, I mean, that's something you could talk about rates and whatever too on the other side because you get two sides.
You know
could
what else I
position it.
like for you guys is because I look at your email that you sent out, and I know that people that are in multifamily buying, selling, refinancing, etc., they kind of like to see other deals that get done. It's just kind of interesting. They're just kind of deal people, so they like seeing other deals. But you could have that on your postcard, hey, latest deal. And even on the back, you could almost have your newsletter in short snippets. So it looks like your one side is your newsletter that just says, here's the first paragraph, read more online. Here's the next paragraph. And so they may have saw it on their email. And sometimes you look at the email and you just click on it, you start to read it, and then you stop reading, you get distracted on something, and then you get that postcard in the mail at the same time. I like the idea.
Would you
of
do
using
that by a
those.
6? Would you do that 6x11?
I would. So I'd turn it at
Yeah.
maybe
Test
one
that.
side as a
We like the
newsletter.
idea of
I
not
like that.
doing the hard sell all the time. Is just giving people information, and then when
Right.
they're ready, they see you as
They
an
appreciate it a
expert,
lot more. We've noticed
yeah,
that.
but they
Very-
go like, okay, well, they give me a lot of really good information. I'm going to give them a call and try them out. That seems to me to have been working the best for us.
Well, you're
so
helping
far.
them.
Yeah.
And then you seem smart at the same time. So
Yeah.
So 27 years ago and today, besides probably technology or internet and things like that, you were mailing the same type of stuff then as you are now, and it's like just having still in business, that is still your bread and butter.
And I have this conversation at least once a month for the last 4 or 5 years, in-depth conversation. We are still doing the same. If you really want me to break it down, the same thing to the same people for 27 years. And actually, that was before I got involved in the business. So it was another 5-6 years before that. So well over 30 years. If you would have told me that there's you could name any business out there that really is doing the same thing they've always done for 30 years through the creation, through the first wave of the internet and Internet 2.0 and 3.0.
Yeah.
And this product still gets results and works and is a viable business. I would not believe it. It's amazing. I mean, it really is.
I think you really can't beat direct mail like you mentioned. I mean, it's just one of those things that I think, like you said, I think we've been looking at magazines even recently at home. Like they come in the mail and they're kind of nice to look at. And then so now they have the Kindle and all these things that people can read books, but we go on vacation with friends and they have a book. Like they just want to have a book to read. They don't want to read necessarily. I mean, they have a Kindle too,
it's nice.
but they also want to read like paperback books.
Right.
So it's just one of those things I think is kind of nostalgic and also doesn't go away. I mean, we could take notes on our computers or tablets or whatever, but I still have a planner that I write in every day. It's just that kind of act of having something tangible rather than having everything online all the time that I don't think is going away.
I agree.
What's the most, in 27 years, what's the most important lesson you probably learned with direct mail? That's a stumper question.
I think it is set your campaign up to win. So make sure you're looking at your list is important, your offer is important, and what you say is important. Your headline is important. So set yourself up to win, but consistency, I think, is important. And scale. So to look at, what it costs you to send 500 postcards, you may send that out and go, well, that didn't work when you really look at what you got. But if you were to mail 50,000, you're able to mail it for so much cheaper per piece and get so much more out there and so many more opportunities. So I think it's just consistency and scale are really important.
Do you think colors matter? Monty's saying yes.
It does with me. So,
okay.
And we've actually used to test it quite a bit with different color headlines and things like that. But color, when I think color, I think more in terms of pictures. But it also applies to text too. One of my tricks that I've really started using a lot this year is in a headline where you may just have one color is to at least make what your product is about or what it is in a different color. So you may have a black text, and then when you get to new pool, let's say you're building pools, you're going to love your new pool. Maybe that's just in a different color, so at least that one word, what you do, stands out a little bit. So I agree. I like color.
There you go. Monty's like, yes.
Well, there is a psychology.
That's what I was wondering, a
marketing.
psychology, or because some of these things I get like postcards, they're like crazy colors, or they're like
or too busy or too
some
confusing.
Of it's like it's a little too much. That's why I was like, you still want to be classic, clean, and get your message across, and not be. You also probably don't want to be like all these offers and all over the place. It's just too much.
I think it's knowing whether your ad is designed to give information and be read so you can get away with a lot of material in there, or if it's just something that so you have to get their attention quick and they have to see, they know what you do, and it's just an offer. And let's say it's for an oil change, right? If you're the local repair facility and you're just it's an oil change offer, it's just oil change in your offer. That's all there is to it. That's what you need to get across. So if you get too crazy with that and lots of different things, people may miss that.
Are you having restaurants put like different dishes of food on there, or do you keep it pretty?
I'm the kind of guy, I like to know a little bit before I get to the restaurant what I might want to eat or what they have. And nothing more frustrating than I go to a restaurant and I hear so much about it. I'm so excited to try it. And I get there and there's a lot on the menu, but
It's not what you
I just
expected.
don't like. Yeah, just nothing.
You look at
jumps
reviews
out.
going, what's great, and you kind
Yeah, I
of go
do.
to that. Like Crystal does that. So you want to know, like, list your great dishes. Like but
Right.
80% of people come in and want this damn dish. It's like, put that on there, right?
Right. And if you're an Italian restaurant that is truly known for the best lasagna in San Diego, or you're voted upon that,
it on
you
there.
want to put that on
Yeah.
there. And that's the other thing is, too many businesses assume that if they're great at something or they've been at this location for 30 years, that everybody knows about them.
They don't.
And they don't. I drive through La Jolla Village all the time. I could think of a street I drove down every day going to work and coming home from work. And one day I'll be a passenger and I'll look over and I'll go, I never noticed that business. And I'll do a little research and find out they've been there for 20 some years.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth. It just, unless you use it, just because you pass by it, you forget about it.
We always say that in our business. I think with doing more stuff online and doing the videos and all my stupid videos with the green screen but people realize, they're like, yeah, you do this every day, so I know about loans. But you do a refi or purchase a property every 5 years. You don't, after 90 days, you forget about the process. So I'm educating people on it. It's like everybody assumes like, oh, you know my restaurant, you know what's good here. No,
Right.
Like we don't. And I think Crystal, you're good about that. Like Crystal, when she goes to restaurants new, she's like, okay, let's see what people like. And then we go to the server and go, hey, what do you like to like this? Like, okay, it's lining up to that, or if it's different, because these are obviously, if your first time there, let's just go for the good stuff. Let's not start picking random stuff that doesn't good. And they should market. I mean, I think that's a good idea. Put your good dish to get people in there.
Put your best sellers, like market your best sellers.
Right.
Maybe
basically.
market your number one selling hardwood floors, or, whatever the people like around tile, or whatever it is.
Right. I agree. Got to let them know let them know before they get there what most people like,
Right.
So, I mean, if most people like it, that should be in your ad.
It's funny because we do ask that all the time. And sometimes people are taken aback by it. They're like, just order what you like. But I'm like, what's the best thing here?
Right.
I'd rather order what I know is going to be good than what I'm hoping is going to be good.
Right. And it's funny. Some people are like, I'm actually a vegetarian, but I heard the steak's really good from like 9 out of 10 people. You're like, okay, like it's kind of funny. Like people, I don't really like chocolate, but I heard that's really good for dessert or something. So but they're the same thing. Because they're seeing what people are ordering. So Kevin, do you see anything changing since 27 years? Do you see anything you really changing in your business over the next 5 years? Or do you feel like anything you're going to add? I know you've tried different things and, the way kind of the market moves, or, you might see this thing's working, but I know you have your bread and butter, but do you see any add-ons or anything changing?
I think things will get a little more sophisticated in mail. We've always had variable data in printing mail, and what that means is I can have a postcard that either the headline changes per person or the picture changes per person, and it's really I think it costs us a penny more per postcard to switch those things around. It used to cost a lot. Now it's really easy with technology, so I think we'll see more and more of that happening. People we had a lot of it happening over the last 5 years, and when it really got cheap, but people just did stuff with let's just variable data this, even though it didn't make a lot of sense. It was, let's just use that technology, but they didn't really do a good job using it. I think we're going to define that a little bit better and make that work better, and it allows you to get better postage rates and different things, because you can get one big mail piece out that says a lot of different things and specific to each one of those customers or prospects. The other thing that I'm jumping the gun on this a lot, but I think the technology's there and there's a scramble to work on it, but to be able to go direct from website, I call it kind of web to print, where if you go to a website, let's say you go to Banana Republic and you are looking at a men's suit and you put it in the shopping cart and then you abandon it, you will soon get a postcard in the mail with that, and it'll be the next day or the day after with that suit. Kenny, we noticed you, it will say your name up there, big headline. Kenny, we noticed you abandoned the suit in your shopping cart. It's not on sale anymore, but if you use this code, we'll put it back on sale for you or something along those
That's
lines.
smart.
Yeah.
Think how many times you went to go buy something, you put it in the shopping cart and you got distracted, and you put it in there, it was on sale, you're all happy, and then
You go back,
and it's like,
nah.
darn it, it's not on sale anymore.
It was
Queen of
$60,
that, yeah, I
$60,
do
now
a
it's
lot.
back to
But
100.
so
That's
so
smart.
that's one example, and I want to get away from the sale part of it. But technology will be, even for the
Able to track that.
swimming pool contractor. Hey, someone visited your website. We're getting close to where we know everyone's IP address and what their actual address is, and we know, was it the adult in the house or who in that house actually visited your page, and you can send them a postcard the next day. The technology's kind of there, but it's a little expensive and a little spotty, but
It's gonna get that part's gonna get better and better.
it's coming, and I think it's going to make direct mail really exciting for all businesses out there.
Couple last questions. When you're gonna do direct mail, whether you're doing yourself or with a company like yours, what's gonna be the most cost-effective way, like all around? Is there a couple things that you should? I know one thing is when I mail with you, you're like, Kenny, let's not try to be all over the place. It's going to cost more. Let's do a more strategic. Like, is there any recommendations you can do? Because a lot of it comes down to postage or this to help somebody can get a good bang for their buck, but also save money too by having a certain strategy behind how they send out.
Well, I think, it varies a little bit, but somebody who says, hey, I want to mail $1 million homes, I just want to mail a little bit all over California, and that might be the wrong approach because there's plenty of $1 million homes right here in San Diego. So if you're mailing out, and the difference might be, it could be as much as 10 cents per postcard. So you may be able to say, hey, if we look at some postal savings and where the mail piece goes, we might be able to accomplish your goal and send out 25,000 more pieces because I saved you 10 cents on each piece in postage. So I think it's just planning. The other thing that kind of addresses that question is there is kind of a sweet spot for postage in that for guys like me, I really don't like handling much below 5,000 postcards or direct mail letters. That's really where the value is, and it's where you start to make an impact, and the postal savings and the efficiency of starting the printing press and everything kick in. So 5,000 really is kind of the sweet spot. But let's say you just want to mail to your customer list, and you're a small business, and you only have, let's say you're a mortgage person, you only have 200 customers over the 6-year period. You can still go out online. There's plenty of places. One I refer people to, I don't think I've ever used them, but gotprint.com. You can print a couple hundred postcards. It's pretty easy. You can just get labels, and you can put the postcard rate stamp, 37 cents or whatever it is now. We do everything.
While you're sitting there watching TV,
yeah, you can just do that and send it out,
yeah.
and it's pretty simple. A lot of it's just getting it going. Just get that process started.
And I think one of the harder things is, besides having a good list, though, is the design, because most business owners are not designers, so they really need to hire somebody
and they get stuck on it.
Yeah.
That's
like a daunting task to even think about.
It is. That's getting better. Adobe has this. Oh boy, I wish I could remember the name of it. It's they've got this program. I think that anybody can get on it, but the design process is getting really easy to where you kind of really can design online
And it looks
by
professional.
yourself. It looks pretty good. I mean, it doesn't look like you designed it in Microsoft Word 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It centers everything for you.
Okay.
And
It's like it has templates that you can build around or something.
templates. Right. I mean, the other thing too, you can, if you don't know a designer, you can always go to Fiverr or something and find someone.
Nowadays,
And
Upwork or wherever.
It is. But when we talk about just mailing to your customers, sometimes it doesn't have to be that pretty. It just needs to be laid out okay and have a headline and a picture, and you're just reminding them that you're there. So depending upon the business, you might be able to get away with it. If you're a high-end restaurant, you need a designer. You want that food shot to look perfect, and any color editing or anything like that, and things have to look, it has to be professionally done. But if it's just, you're a mortgage person and just your picture laid out pretty good and a decent message and a reason to call you and you can get it out.
Kevin, what's the best way for anybody to reach you guys and then learn more about your company? And then if they just have, a lot of people probably call you with just general questions, maybe before they hire you to understand, or, like you said, sometimes you just tell people to just do it yourself. It's easier, which is nice.
I'm always happy to talk to someone and kind of guide them. I can help you or I can't. And here's my advice. Here's what I do. If you just want to do that, go to this person. There might be somebody that does it better. Sometimes different specific industries have a vendor that's really good for that industry, and I'll send people in that direction. But to reach us, we're at rsvpmailers.com is our website landing page, or one of them, but that's the easiest one to reach us.
Phone numbers on there.
Phone numbers on there.
Okay.
If we're 858-279-7787.
Cool.
And you can call us there too.
I think we learned some stuff about postcards, and I don't think
Direct mail's
direct mail's dead. And also, I do agree with Kevin that I don't think anybody, probably not anybody, but realtors are good, but people are really just dropping mail to their clients twice a year just to do something different.
Just to get that list,
which I guarantee you,
Yep.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, good times of the year could be holidays, like you mentioned, because it's flapping around their house and they've got all this, maybe on the refrigerator, that 6x11, and all these people are walking to their house. I think you and I are talking about like this last Christmas. You're like, a good time to do it would be right for the holidays, where people, it's on their mind. They're talking about refi. And I think we were talking about this literally last Christmas or something.
I like mail during the holidays. Yes, people are super busy, but there's a big portion of consumers out there that don't have any family coming to town, and they have a couple weeks off sometimes.
They want to get stuff done.
Yeah, it's like, hey,
And
let's
they have
get
your card up, and they're staring at it every day wherever they post it.
Right, yeah. So I like over the holiday. Direct mail, the shelf life is always good. So if you have a decent piece with some stickiness to it, it'll always stick around. So you really can mail it anytime.
Cool. Well, guys, thanks for watching. You know where to reach Crystal and I if you have any questions. If you need some direct marketing mailing, reach out to Kevin, RSVP, or anybody that picks up the phone. And for God's sakes, get on the program and mail your clients. Monty, we're going to do it.
Get out there and mail something.
That's right.
Yeah, mail something. Get some business.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, guys.